Six Gun Productions. New media, new rules.
This is Geek News Radio, broadcast 72. For Sunday, November 4th, 2018. People with money are the problem.
You're listening to Geek News Radio, episode 72. I'm Dave in Birmingham.
And I'm Fab in Hamburg.
Woo,
we are not dead.
Fab.
Well, we weren't really gone.
They called it a pod fade, but it
no,
wasn't.
this hasn't pod faded. Before we start, what are you drinking?
I have. I'm breaking the mold by having a different IPA. I have a Brewdog Punk IPA because it's nice. I don't like Brewdog because
What?
So here's the thing. I love their beers. I just hate everything else surrounding.
You don't like the marketing, don't you?
I hate because it's this faux hipster. Like they pretend that they're not a company.
It is hipster, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's just like they're like, you can what's it? Equity for punks, and it's like there's nothing punk. So the idea is like you could invest money and buy kind of sort of shares, but not shares in Brewdog.
I missed all of that. I guess
it's absolute bollocks, and it's just like investing in things is not punk. It's everything they allegedly didn't stand for, but like it's basically every kind of marketing campaign, like. They just like jump on the bandwagon, and it's really horrible.
Well, I would agree with you. That is definitely not punk.
The most annoying, the most.
The word equity is as far from punk as you can get, isn't it?
I know, right? It's mad.
What's going on?
But recently they've been putting like posters up that are like compare their beers on some beer rating site that isn't Untapped to mainstream beers like Budweiser. They're like, Budweiser has like. Oh, she's mad because like they put like the logo and stuff like.
It's mad because they're clearly better. I mean, why would you compare yourself to Budweiser? I don't think you're allowed to like do that, but they do it. They compare. No,
like,
we're
great.
In the UK, you can do that. In Germany, you wouldn't be allowed to. But
I was under the impression in the UK you couldn't call out competitors, but they do that, and they're like, yeah, we're better than our competitors. And I'm like, fuck off.
But they are.
It's their attitude that stinks, and.
Yeah, but like it's dumb. It's like that would be like if VW, right? If they said we are better than like Skoda. I mean, of course you're better than Skoda. You're also 5 times as expensive.
That's yeah, but somehow I'd be okay if any other company did it.
Oh, this was wrong. Skoda belongs to VW. No, it'd be more like Dacia. We're better than Dacia.
I just hate them pretending that it's that they're pretending to be the like underdog. They're like, yeah, we're small and then you're not small, you're not independent, you're just another company trying to pretend that you are.
They're not clearly they're not the underdog, they're the brew dog.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, it just feels like they're trying to pretend to be something they're not, despite making excellent beers.
They do. The other day I had an Elvis juice. I love Elvis juice.
Oh, Elvis juice is the best. It's probably one of my favourites. It's a bit grapefruity. It's very strong for a British beer. It's good.
I am very, very happy that you saved the show by drinking beer because I'm drinking tea. I'm drinking Earl Grey hot, which is as badass as you can go with tea, I guess.
Are you unwell?
No, I have to get up at like 4 tomorrow morning. Oh, because we're doing a Red Dead Redemption live stream, and I have to be in Hanover bright and early. Catch the early train.
Not really friend of the show, but just friend. Sam White has reviewed that for GQ, and I think he described it as not platform defining, but like this era of the platforms, generation defining.
I must. Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. I must say,
he's describing it as their best game, which sounds good.
I wasn't planning to play it
because it's not on PC, is it?
Yeah, so I don't care.
I'm not going to play it.
But like,
it's also a Western, so I wasn't going to play it anyway.
Well,
I'm doubly not going to play it.
I love Westerns, and I spent
It looks like such a fab game, despite
it
not
is.
being on
I
PC.
lost about 2 semesters of uni to Red Dead 1, and I loved that game dearly.
I got to Mexico.
Oh god, I cried. I cried when that happened. You know, when the music comes in, I cried. It's
I just
really
left it. I was like, I'm done. It's one of those moments that was like, it was such a and it's like I always go back to like The Witcher 2, in that there are moments in games where I'm like, I can just walk away from it at this point, satisfied.
Well, one can tell that you're not a Western fan.
No, I'm just
because that's like you're probably like Katie. Is it if you like Katie when we watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, she falls asleep before they talk.
So
are you like that?
I think it's so like my dad is super into westerns, and as a kid I watched a lot of them.
I like your dad already. Never met him.
Forced into watching, but like it was on, so that was the thing that was being watched. So I was like, I just kind of glazed over, and at some point you've like seen all the old westerns loads of times, and it's like, I don't.
You say that as if that was a bad thing.
I just I wanted to be watching Stargate.
So at least twice a year I put on like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Once Upon a Time in the West or something. Like
I guess westerns are your Ghost in the Shell, because I watched that again the other day.
I guess. So I really like westerns, and I so that's why I played the first game a lot. So I guess that's why I'm helping out with the live stream. Also, I like doing live streams about games, and I like that I get to play it a bit, because I sure as hell I'm not going to buy a console. So
I was kind of expecting you to come on and say that you're going to buy like a PS4 Pro to play it.
No, I think that's dumb. I think people are doing that, and I know a lot of people are doing that. Are part of the problem. I really want console exclusives to go away. I think that's the dumbest thing in video games we have at the moment.
I think that this is entirely speculation based on nothing, but I think it's going to be exactly like GTA 5 in that it will get released now, and then it'll come out on PC, and then they'll re-release it on the PS5 and the Xbox.
Yeah, so I'm saying 8 months, because if you look at the other game, like recent console exclusives, they were all kind of like 8 months. I think that's kind of like a standard thing. It's a contract thing or something that has maybe something established itself. I am thinking, look, they're launching Red Dead Online with this. And they cannot afford to have that not on the PC, because I mean PC gamers spend a lot of money on that's the thing. Like, GTA Online. So
GTA Online has been wildly successful. It seems mad that they would like.
It's also so dumb.
Whoever's doing the accounting at Rockstar is like, you should put it on PC because we made loads of money from selling virtual things that didn't cost us anything.
No, I think they're the problem. I think accounting is exactly why they have a console exclusive, because I think they got millions and billions and millions of dollars.
So all it takes is just having some patience, and then we'll get it on PC.
I think they'll have calculated it to be
the optimal time to do it. But.
Yeah, because capitalism, as you would say. I think I had the colleague of mine wrote a story about this game recently, and it said like, this is like this sentence in there, I'm not going to say who it is because I'm going to rag on them. It's like developed exclusively for the newest console generation. It's like I know what he means.
Hit compile.
He means that it's only on the on the Pro, on that generation. Yeah. But people have the expectation that it's support. Like I talked to somebody on Twitter. We need to talk about what we're talking about on the show, but we're going to talk about Tomb Raider later on. And somebody said, well, it's like a port. It's like, no, it's not a fucking port. Those two consoles, the Xbox and the PlayStation that are out right now, they are PCs. They are PC hardware, and this shit is developed on a PC, right? It's not like they're sitting there on a development PS4. Yeah. They have one to test it on. They
longer the days of the cell processor architecture.
It's an AMD 64 CPU. It's got normal RAM in it. It's got what's the PS AMD whatever graphics card. It's got a random normal graphics card in there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just a PC.
And there's no port happening. Okay, there's companies, I think with Tomb Raider, with Nixus again, they optimize it for the PC, for keyboard control. But I mean, with Red Dead 1, obviously, if you look back at that game, I am quite sure Rockstar tried to port that to the PC and it just didn't happen. I think that was a time when the technology was really different, and you really had to.
The game came out on PS3.
And, I mean, we can talk about this a bit later, but I mean, you've been playing Skyrim, right? And the moment I had a PS3, because I mean, people who listen to Linux Outlaws will know this. I had used Linux exclusively, and so I was using my PS3 for gaming, right? And when I bought this gaming PC, I on a whim. So I had played Skyrim on my PS3 for like years, 2 complete playthroughs on the console. And the first one was as an archer, as an archery class thing. And
which I will come to later, but yes.
So, and I got the gaming PC and I was like, oh, Skyrim's like whatever. It cost at the point, it's like $20 or whatever. I just bought it again because it's such a good game.
13p, you got it free with something, then they gave you, And
I was playing it. And I didn't even do an archery. At some point, I just picked up a bow and tried shooting it. And I was like, what the hell did I waste like 4 years of my life on? How dumb was I trying to play this game with a controller? And I'm going to feel the same way about Red Dead. If I get a PS4 now, I'm just going to... I'll have to install it where my PC is because I want to play it at my desktop because that's how I play games. I can't play games lying back. My back's fucked. I don't want to lie back. I want to sit up. I'm an intense gamer, right? I want to be right up in the screen. I've got
the elite gaming chair.
This great monitor that I'm going to buy when I'm going freelance. So I want that. And I want a fucking mouse and a keyboard. And I'm going to, if I put the PlayStation there, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to have to play with a controller. And don't get me wrong. I actually do play with the controller. I play with the P3 controller quite a few games, right? But I know that I can go back to the mouse and keyboard whenever I want, when it's just better. And not being able to do this tomorrow morning when I play Red Dead live on stream, when you listen to this a few days ago, you can probably watch it on YouTube or something. You will see me flail around because I will feel like they chopped my hands off. Because it has it's auto aiming or whatever. But why would you want that if you can use a mouse and a keyboard? So when I was playing. So I was at 2 pre-launch events for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And at both of them, they only had the Xbox version. And this was one of my worst game playing experience. Imagine this. Okay, so you had a press tour, right? For this game. You're sitting there with all these gaming journalists, left and right of you, right? And the PR people from Squeenix are pacing around you, watching you play, right? And I'm there, they know I'm a big Tomb Raider fan. I've talked to them about it. And it's like this guy from Square Enix behind me and sees me attempting the same jump 15 times and falling down every time. And he's like, you have to do this. I'm like, I know. It's the fucking controller. I can't do this on a controller. When I got the game and I finally got to sit down at home in front of my mouse and keyboard, I was flawless, I was doing everything. Even the stuff I hadn't done before. First time, bam, bam, jump here, grapple this, do that. Flawless. Fuck, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's get into the show. So we're going to talk about...
there's Linux kernel bans.
Yep.
There's 2-point hospital stuff. There's a variety of Magic the Gathering topics, which is such... honestly, if you went back to 2015 and you told me I would be talking about Magic the Gathering on a podcast, I'd have laughed at you, but it's real and it's happening.
Oh,
I'm going to give a brief review of Rise of Industry, and then we're going to have a chat about Tomb Raider, and then some feedback.
It's going to be so buckle in.
Good episode.
It's going to be long.
But we have some housekeeping. We've been been away for a while, because Fab's been mad busy.
Well, basically, I've been launching Hollywood Outlaws with Dan. It was a bit of work, but I'm still in the middle of the process. I'm rebuilding the 6-gun site, which is a lot of work.
Because it's complicated running any sort of podcast thing with multiple shows.
Yeah, so basically I have now a multi-site. So, for example, if you go to 6gun.org/HO, you will find the Hollywood Outlaws thing. But currently, as we record this, that is not on the main site. And because I need to, multiple word, it's like a multi-site instance now, and I need to rope it all.
I'm going to pretend I understand.
Basically, what I'm doing is I'm moving all the GNR episodes from one site to another. And I just can't automate that. It's like I could, but then it'll break and whatever. So I'm doing it by hand because it's going to be a lot of work.
Fun times.
So yeah, fun times.
That is actually entirely the reason. So in the Discord chat, we during not work hours, most definitely not work hours, we were discussing websites and static websites, and I went through the Hugo tutorial. I went through the kind of like automating the CI/CD stuff of doing Hugo for a static site, and then I was like, but I can't be asked to look at all the old posts and ensure that I've not broken anything and any broken links, so I fucked it in the bin because I don't care.
Well,
a lot of effort to manually do hundreds of posts.
I understand that. And as you know, I love Hugo. I would love to run 6gun of it, but I haven't managed how to, do the podcasting correctly.
Yeah, I just think that would be some horrible, lots of scripting.
You could do
RSS.
that, but at this point I can't.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying it's more work than any other way.
Well, my other problem is, it's not only that this is a lot of work. If I was just doing that, I would have finished it long ago. My current problem is that I'm in hell. So I'm going freelance as you know at the beginning of next year, and I'm currently I have 2 jobs. I have my normal job, which is 8 hours a day,
fun,
plus about 4.5 to 5 hours of commute, and then I currently have the job of preparing all the stuff I need to prepare to go freelance, which obviously I can't do in work hours. So, it's stuff with like the employment agency, and I have to do all this shit. I've got to line up clients and all of this. And I'm running 2 jobs, and I don't know where my head is currently. I'm like a headless chicken.
Fantastic.
So, the drawty times for this show might continue a bit, but don't lose the faith.
Also, you're buggering off to America for a week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, don't remind me of that. So on top of that, yes, I'm also going to the US because, Katie is giving a talk at some, it's like the biggest neurology conference, I think, in San Diego. And so she can add some free time, like some holiday time onto it. And so basically we're getting her flights for free. So we're like, I might as well just go over with her. So
lovely.
We're going to San Diego, and then we're driving to Vegas, and then we're driving to LA. And I might never return from that because we booked this Airbnb, which is like in mid city, and I researched this. It's like from the most horrible, like it's not on the list of the 10th, like the 10 most horrible places to be in LA. It's not on that list, but it's like on the 25. It's like one step up from Hollywood, which from watching a lot of Bosch, I know it's a shithole.
Nice. So this will be the last episode of Geek News Radio.
So I researched this, and it's like this. I found like these Reddit posts, right? So I'm moving there. Is it? How bad is it? It's like this reply from an ex-LAPD cop who's like, as long as you're northwest of Pico and Crenshaw, you're all right. If you're south of Crenshaw or east of Pico or both, you have a problem. So I was like frantically like, Katie, where's this Airbnb? I need to research this. Luckily it is northwest of Pico and Crenshaw, so I might be okay. I don't know.
Phew.
The problem is also I'm driving with a Mustang, so I'll have to park the Mustang in the street for like a day.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't get stolen.
Good luck. I hope it's insured.
Well, and this is all subject to the fact that they even let me in the country once they check my Twitter account.
They'll be locking you up, throwing away the keys.
So it's just like this immigration guy is like, hey, oh, so I've been listening to Geek News Radio. No.
Oh, shit.
For the record, I love Donald Trump. Great president. Making America great again.
Please let Fab in the country.
And out again.
Yeah, and then we reserve the right to say whatever we want about him afterwards.
So we get into the show. Before we get into the show proper, there's one more thing I need to talk about. Because by chance, the other day, last weekend on Netflix, we watched Doctor Strange, which I researched. You reviewed on episode 27, which is very strange because this is episode 72.
Yeah, it's a weird mirror episode.
So 2 years later, we said at that show, on that episode, I believe we said that I might watch it at some point. And then we talked.
Well, one day. What did you think of it, Fab?
So, it was surprising to me in some ways, and it was completely not surprising to me in others. So, as I suspected, my decision to not watch any Marvel movies anymore is well-founded. Because the plot of this movie is incredibly bullshit. It is so dumb. It's completely dumb. But now the actual thing. So I'm watching I'm like 3/4 through, right? And I'm like, you know what? What's missing? My hate for Cumberface. I like him in this role. It's like
that's the thing. He's a really good Doctor Strange.
Seriously, I think it's the only time I've actually enjoyed him in a row. And I have been thinking about this for a bit, and I think I know why. Because, I mean, he's supposed to play a smug asshole, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Maybe he's just playing himself, because he's doing that really well.
He is, but it's a bit annoying. It's a bit, I don't know. In the many episodes since, I have only got more sour about Doctor Strange.
Right. But before we do that, let me just quickly say what I think, and then you can talk
Go for it.
So I actually think the better character in this movie. Mads Mikkelsen's great. He's great. He's great in anything. I love that man. I love his penchant for just drinking beer during interviews and shit. But he's great. But I actually think his Doctor Strange he's got this cloak.
Yeah,
I think that's actually a better character.
Yeah, the cloak is probably the best character, I think, in the whole thing.
Yeah, and then I did enjoy it, but the plot is it's like that whole movie is just like Deus Ex Machina the movie.
Yeah, it kind of like it exemplifies the kind of annoying. There's like one thing in Marvel films that I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for everything, other than like bad guys and good guys fighting by like shooting laser beams of different colours at each other. Like in any film now, that I immediately get massively bored when that happens, and this just sort of exemplifies it. When he's like this amazing magician, and all he does is fire this weird beam or like trip people up with some weird gravity. It's so boring.
That actually wasn't my problem, although the gravity thing, I had a problem with that because I think so. They came up with this special effect, right, where it folds the world.
It's Inception, but like more.
And that is like cool for 20 seconds. Problem is, they do this for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's like you're saying
all the time,
like how he fights guys.
And it has it exemplifies one of the biggest problems I have with Hollywood movies in general, and especially since I first noticed this in the original first Lord of the Rings movie, which is fight scenes where there is either so much or something so death-oriented going on that you have no idea what the fuck's happening anymore. I first had that, like, there's a fight scene at the end of the first Lord of the Rings where it's just, like, I think they're fighting orcs or something. And it's just so...
the battle...
Boromir, it's like
the river.
At the river, exactly. It's so dark, right? It's very darkly...
It looks like daytime.
But right? The way it's shot...
There's lots of Urukai who all wear, like, pretty drab outfits.
It's like, the dark is not... I don't mean... Okay, so do you know how it's different? How bright something is and what daylight it is in movies. Sometimes, they show daylight, but it's like very gloomy.
Yeah.
And that scene, or I think the whole of the Rings has a thing with like this noirish kind of gloomy kind of thing. And it's shot very dark. It's like, it is actually dark. If you look at it, I mean, it's in the daylight, but everything's like very desaturated colors and shit. And then there's just camera moves, and there's like orcs everywhere. And it's like, you have no fucking clues what's going on. It's just like...
I guess, going into that, I already knew exactly what was happening. So.
And Doctor Strange is even worse, because the problem with it is it completely takes away the stakes. Because already, like Marvel movies and movies like this already have the problem that the good guy's gonna win. I mean, you know that all the time. But if it's an engaging fight scene, you don't think about that. Now, if you lose track of what's going on because you can't tell what is happening, I don't know how is it for you, but my mind immediately goes like zones out, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna win. How is he gonna win?
I kind of wish actually that they'd take like it would never work, right? It would be entirely making films for me and for no one else, and it would be terrible. But in the books of the Lord of the Rings, the fight scenes are really short because they'd be really boring. There's like, and then they did a fight and it was great. Next page, on to camping. Next 4 chapters are all about camping. That's what I would like, but I'm weird. So, I think you're totally right. Yeah, the fight scenes are kind of just like, get on with it. Obviously, no one's going to die.
I think they're just, these days, when they make these scenes, they're concentrating on the wrong thing. I think they just want to woo people. And I think, so if you watch Saving Private Ryan, and you watch that iconic scene where they land on the beach, the beach landing, there's lots
I've watched this many times.
Yes, me too.
The Primo Victoria YouTube cut.
So if you watch the whole scene, you'll see there's lots of shit going on. There's shit going on in the background, in the foreground, but there isn't a moment where either you're not engaged, and also you don't know what's going on. You know what's going on.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think it's at some point everyone decided to up the density of things. Like there's just physically more happening on the screen at one time,
and it's also
that might give a more realistic view of what combat in Lord of the Rings might be, but doth not make a good film.
Actually, it's not more realistic because
in the kind of like trying to give you the idea that there's this big battle going on by putting lots of things on screen.
Yeah, but
doesn't necessarily translate to a good.
What's not realistic is that the Saving Private Ryan
the elves
works.
Don't exist.
Well, that's not the problem. The problem is that so with Saving Private Ryan, you know the stakes, right? There's machine guns shooting at people on the beach, right?
Yep.
If somebody gets hit, they're dead. That's what it is. They're not getting up,
Yes.
Or maybe they're getting up once, they get hit again, they're dead.
Yeah.
So the Marvel films have the problem that people are not dying. There's nobody dying there.
They get lasered in the face, but they're still fine.
And then they're fine, or it's just like the stakes are just like you can't.
I think. Yeah, I mean it's a really 2008 take, but I think the kind of key example of this is like the first Transformers film with Michael Bay was literally like what is happening on screen right now.
Bay's the worst.
And also they're robots, so they die very slowly. So it kind of just doubles the crappiness, and I guess things haven't really got over that. And it's a bit annoying, I guess, but I do agree. I just sort of like clock out.
I think they could just. I think you're pretty much right. If these Marvel movies, they're so long, right? If they made the fight scenes,
this is
short
one of the many reasons why The Ghost in the Shell, 1993, the anime film, is the best film ever made because it's 90 minutes. 90 minutes is the optimal length for a movie, and no movie should be longer or shorter than it.
Well, I think they could.
If a movie is 2 hours long, it is too long.
Yeah, probably. But I think they could be longer if it matters. But like Doctor Strange would be so good if you have really high stakes. You have incredibly powerful magicians, right? And if they fight there's the main characters, the good main characters, and then they have like people accompanying them, and they have the bad guys and the henchmen, right? And if the fight was like, okay, she creates a tear in space time, right? And these two henchmen, they just like get ripped apart, like in a blood splatter or whatever, right?
Or just just disappear in a meaningful way immediately and forever.
If any time they had a spell, somebody died, there would be really, really meaningful. Okay, you couldn't have that
murder.
Yeah, you couldn't have yes.
Tap 3 black and
fucking murder. I hate murder. Murder is shit, man.
So I have to double check that.
I'm a green
MtGA murder.
Go to Gatherer. Gatherer.wizards.com.
It's 2 black and 1 colorless. I got it entirely wrong.
You will love something. Okay, I've changed my website today. So if you go to fab.industries, right? and then create a 404 error, right? Do put in something.
It's Flibbit. It's Flibbit.
He's my favorite.
It's so
Magic
good.
guy. Anyway, we'll talk about Magic later.
Excellent.
Flibble, or whatever his name is. Anyway,
I looked up how to say him today, but I've forgotten already.
So Doctor Strange, I don't know. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I didn't pay any money for it because it was just on Netflix. But I guess those times are numbered as well.
Fair. So,
topics,
eh? Yeah, so this is going to be a controversial one. It's Fab talking about a Linux kernel code of conduct and Linus Torvalds stepping away for a bit.
Yeah, we should talk about this, I thought, because it happened, I think, while we were gone. So basically, Linus said, I'm gonna take some time out because I'm swearing too much. And everybody went, whoa, what the fuck's going on? And then we figured out that it's because of a code of conduct that the Linux kernel now has.
Yeah, because essentially, if he were to be Linus with
told
the code
people
of conduct,
to, I think he said to some people, quote, just go and kill yourself. End quote.
Yeah, I mean, having him, being him, and also having a code of conduct, just don't go together.
No, I don't think.
All.
Well, I don't get. I don't get. I think. So. My opinion. You can attack me on it in a second. I think Linux is the last project that should have a code of conduct. I think. I mean, it's an open source product. I mean, he's called the benevolent dictator for life, like many open source products.
Benevolent in a very kind of like interesting way.
I mean, if you listen to Linux Outlaws, I think I said about 10 years ago that benevolent and dictator doesn't go together, and that I think
especially with this implementation of benevolent.
Yeah, well, he's a dictator, so he can do whatever you want. So why the hell would it have a code of conduct? I mean, he can. I think
Guido was far closer with Python in being a benevolent dictator, but
yeah, but still, dictator, it's like it's by
it made
definition
more sense with Guido than it did with Linus, but yes. So he's stepped away.
I think he's good. He's good at what he does. I mean, Linux is great, so he's doing a good job.
Totally. Yeah, but like I think, it's one at that point where it's a thing of such scale that you can say that he's good, he's great at running it, but also like it's all the other contributions from everyone else that also makes it great.
Yeah,
if it were just one dude on his own, it wouldn't be as good.
The thing is, like, we're not talking about everybody else because I mean the people that directly interact with Linus and that he has shouted about are very few. It's not like it's you and me. If we submit a kernel patch, it's not like Linus is going to shout at us because that's going to go somewhere.
No. If I submit a kernel patch, he is going to be like, bro, have you ever wrote C? And I'll be like,
well, if you submit a kernel patch, it's going to go to Greg KH or Ted Show.
Well, that's the thing. Like he's going to
shout at them. Well, no, also because that's not how it works. It goes through a subsystem.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't. Yeah, he doesn't really.
And I don't think Greg has a problem with Linus calling him a cunt once in a while. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. For the last.
They're kind of like friends, right? There's like it's very much a different interaction between those two than anyone else.
I actually, I wrote about this quite a lot. One reason you could say I'm sad about this because I got great mileage out of stories where Linus called like security people like dickheads. And to be honest, they were dickheads. They were dickheads. They are dickheads. Security people are dickheads. They're idiots sometimes. And, that's just what they are. And yes, fuck you, NVIDIA. That's the most interesting example. I don't understand that at all. People are like, oh, you insulted NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a fucking company. You cannot legally insult a company. You can't. It's not like...
I'd like to say hello to the hackers. I think you're great. Don't hack me. It's all on Fab. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm safe now.
And NVIDIA can go fuck themselves. Oh no, I've got an NVIDIA graphics card in this. Oh shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of... It's an like, I've always wondered, like, with Linus, where he gets the energy to be that angry. Because, like, I couldn't do it. I genuinely couldn't be that angry all the time.
I am that angry. If I was running Linux, I'd be swearing more than him.
I am already perpetually tired. I don't need more sources of getting grumpy.
Well, you can also pull energy from that.
I guess I'm kind of a person who finds getting angry tiring. So, yeah. But so he's stepping away.
Oh my god!
Because the code of conduct is happening.
I mean, people.
I assume you don't like because you don't like codes of conduct.
Wait! Stop! You can go in a second, but people will not have heard that because we're doing a double ender. But you just cut out.
Ah, what? No. How am I now? Shit.
Yes, and just so you understand, we for this show, Dave changed the computer he's recording.
Yeah. So previously, I've been recording on Windows 10 through Discord on my desktop PC. I am now today recording on Ubuntu 18.04 on Discord to remove literally every other thing in the in the connection between Fab and I. Now I have changed every component apart from my mouth and where I live.
And the microphone.
Like the town. And the microphone, but we've proved with the double ender the microphone is fine.
Yeah.
It's odd, but hopefully it doesn't continue.
Well, you just did when you said all this, you cut out again. But yeah, well, sorry, we're gonna fix this behind the scenes. Let's not bother the listener. I just said it was just funny to me. I had to mention. Anyway, you were saying sorry. I was interrupting you.
The code of conduct. I feel you don't like it because it's a code of conduct.
I don't like code of conducts. I think they're dumb. I think they're stupid. I think we have
Alternatively, my point of view is they may not be perfect, but at least they are. At some point, you're going to want to get rid of someone for some reason. Maybe they're just annoying. And if you can point to some rule book that you agreed to play by these rules and you haven't been, so you're out. It's just like a smoother way of moving on with everyone's life.
I agree.
And I get that it's a bit weird and they don't really work and they have to be enforced by humans and that's terrible because humans are awful. But it's a kind of vague thing,
I agree with you in general there. I just think a code of conduct is the wrong tool. We don't need that tool. We have laws. You have your laws in the UK. We have laws in Germany. We have rules to live and work together. Yes, they do not apply, as it is now. For example, in Germany, we have a anti-discrimination law that is enforced in the workplace, right? But since this is a volunteer project, that law wouldn't matter. But if I
guess it's just creating a jurisdiction within that project, right? Because I could come along and say, well, you've broken this law in my jurisdiction, and they're like, but actually I've declared my house a different country.
Don't concentrate on it being a law, but just think it's a set of rules. So if I had an open source project in Germany, right? So the law I'm talking about for the Germans is the AGG, Allgemeines Gleichstellungsgesetz. So I could say, I have an open source project and my code of conduct would just be that. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be a good idea because that law is an actual law. It was created in a democracy, in a democratic way. It was passed, it was debated. There's reasons why it is like it is. And code of conducts are just random. They're just made up by people, those people are dumb. So,
but the Linux kernel's a dictatorship, right? So why should it have rules with a democratic basis?
Well, obviously, you're just saying it needs rules. It's a dictatorship. It doesn't need those rules. If we're going, no. If you're going that way, no. You're saying it needs a rule book. It doesn't need a rule book. It's a dictatorship. If Linus wants to get rid of people, he can just get rid of them. And if he doesn't
that's why I don't think it's perfect. But it's just a useful.
Why would in that situation? Why would you need a code of conduct if you have one person that has total power?
Because he's buggered off.
Well,
he's not there.
Yes, but we're saying he's a benevolent dictator. So now he's gone. Now we don't need a code of conduct. No, we just need rules. And I'm saying use rules that have been established in a good way that we know that work. That's
a bold statement, but yes.
Well,
democracy works.
Yes, it does work. Yes, it does work. We didn't have war in Europe since how long has it been now? It's now almost been 100 years since we had a war in Europe. Yes, so democracies do work. They don't work everywhere, but they work better than anything else. They work better than dictatorships. They work better than what's the thing I can't remember?
I guess we're just disagreeing on it's fundamentally the same thing. The person who's kicking the person out gets to do that because that's how the community is run. But this makes them slightly less butthurt because you can point to something that is not just in their head. Like when you did Git push, you agreed to rule number 4B. You've broken number 4B, so please bugger off. It's a lot easier, more HR friendly, kind of just like on your way.
Completely, yes. But I'm saying take rules that are that are established and are there for a reason, and don't take some rules that some fucking programmer has thought up because they're not good at this. So the reason open source projects say they need a code of conduct is because they say they figured out that these people can't work together. They can't work together because they're social fucking misfits. Because, to be honest, they're open source programmers. Now, you can't go to these people and say, make us the rules by which we will work together, because obviously they can't. Because they were the people that you need the rules for in the first place.
If the kernel still gets patches and it still gets updated with this code of conduct, then I guess it sort of worked. And it just means that you can't contribute to it, but other people can. Right? So if the Linux development just carries on as normal, and it's fine,
but that's not.
Then what's the harm?
Well, you won't realize the harm because you will have, excluded people from the community that you will never know about, that you will never get their patches, so you don't know.
I mean, there's a kind of assumption
for a reason
you need
that
everyone.
Is completely stupid. I mean, come on. If I say to somebody in an email, "Fuck off," I'm rude, right? I'm rude, but I haven't hurt them. I haven't done anything to them. If they choose to take that so seriously that they don't want to, be part of my project, then they're dumb. We're not talking about Linus having, or like kernel developers having like bullied somebody to jump off a building or bullied them off the project. Linus has said to people he knows, to people he has years of working relationships with, "You're an idiot. Go back. I don't want this patch." Right? He didn't bully somebody who was new to the project, who is like, maybe from a minority in the project. He didn't go to them and say, "Fuck off, I don't want you on my project." Right? There's no precedence for that in Linux development. Not as far as I know.
I guess I don't have any specific examples, but I feel that the point where they're at is that there are enough people developing the kernel that they don't need to worry. If they get rid of some rude person, that patch will come from someone else anywhere, and they'll have a less annoying community.
Well, right? I think
it doesn't. They don't want. It's a bit weirdly non-open source, but they don't necessarily want everyone to be able to submit patches. They want everyone who can just sort of vaguely get along and not insult each other to submit patches.
But if you actually would enforce this rule, right? Now,
lots of people would be gone.
No, let's say Linus comes back, and then he swears. I'm guaranteeing you, he's not gonna get kicked off the project. And if you did that, if you kicked him off the project, that would be an actual problem, because you have a person who has run this for like 20 years, know exactly how. There's no person on earth who has the knowledge about the Linux kernel that Linus has. Like, if you would kick him off for swearing off this project, that would be an actual mistake.
I don't think he's gonna come back.
Well, if that is true, then this whole thing is a disaster for the Linux community.
Maybe. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting time for these various projects that are run with benevolent dictators for life in a post-dictator world. It's going to be interesting.
Well,
but I kind of...
I think this is mute, because I think he's coming back. We just had the Open Source Summit. There was a kernel developers meeting, like there always is. Linus was there. He was talking to people.
But I don't know, I feel that's like a saving faith. I don't know. I just feel like if I were in Linus' shoes right now, I'd just be like, I'll just walk away. Like, I have faith that the existing other people know enough and can run it fine without him.
That could happen, but I think that would be a disaster.
I think it'll be fine. I think most things will be fine. It's going to be a bit
you
weird,
say that. Yeah. The issue I have with you say this a lot. And then on the next day, you're ranting about how software is shit.
That's because it's intrinsically bollocks. It's just...
No, it's just
It's
shit because we do shit like this. You know, we get rid of the good people for fucking idiotic reasons.
No. The intrinsic problem I feel is that you try to constrain. So it's called people call it the keyhole problem. That like computers are a bit. The computers are computers, right? They're good at computing things. They're not good at people, and fundamentally, we apply software to human problems, which computers can't deal with because they're not flexible enough, and that is basically my problem. Not we fire all the good people because they're annoying.
Your theory is the computer is the problem. My theory
it's just that we want
theory
computers
is the
to do everything.
The people is the problem. The people are the problem. What we're doing is it's not the code of conduct thing. I mean, we have companies where they make code, right? Where there's people who are shit at their job and they're doing their job and they keep committing shitty code. And they keep doing that for political reasons. You know, they're the longest, you know, then they might know people. I mean, you've been at a company, you know how this works. Companies aren't meritocracies. You know, if you actually, that's not how it works. I mean, at every company, there are lots of people that are doing shit work. Sorry, what?
That's all that matters.
Yeah, they get paid.
Yeah, so
the problem is the people. The problem is the people. They're shitty people doing shitty things for shitty reasons.
The problem is, from my perspective, that the answer to all problems is software, and I don't think it is.
Well, I never said that. I don't think that.
No, but you said that I was complaining that the problem is that people fire the smart people. No, my problem is that I don't think software solves all problems. That is the hammer in which we have decided that every problem must be solved.
I just think that
we can solve this with an app.
I just think that the attitude of saying one day it's all going to be fine, and then the next day when you see that things are obviously not fine, complaining about this is
no, because I think it's entirely different, right? I think that the point at which Linus doesn't actually write patches and he doesn't really merge things because he has delegated these things to other people. If he steps away,
he's looking at the big picture. That's what he does. He is the one person who knows as much about the kernel as anybody else. He's looking at the big picture. He's making decisions like, let's not clutter the fucking kernel with stuff we don't need. And that's the moments when he swears at people. When people are doing this shit.
Someone will step up to that job. People will do that. Maybe it gets more cluttered, but people will unclutter it.
I'm saying that's not how it works. I mean, I've just seen stuff go to shit by codes of conduct. I mean, don't even call it codes of conduct. It's like these arbitrary shitty rules that are, once they're made, they're already shit. I mean, you left Twitter, right? Because Twitter's just a shithole. And, you know, one of the reasons why Twitter is a shithole is, I mean, one of what I think, Twitter went down a huge rabbit hole about 2 years ago when, you know, it all started with Gamergate, and then they had people come in who wrote community rules that you can now ban people by, and these rules is shit. They're stupid. And they led to the fact that now on Twitter, there is hundreds of accounts by actual fucking terrorists who post pictures of people getting beheaded, you know, who don't get banned, but somebody makes a joke to people he knows and gets reporters like, oh, he threatened to kill somebody. And he gets banned. But the fucking obvious, like, Al-Qaeda guy with the cutting people's heads off doesn't. So these rules, they don't work. And people that enforce them don't work. This whole fucking stuff doesn't work.
Yeah, because we decided to use computers to talk to
people. No, it's not computers. It's fucking people deciding this at Twitter and Facebook. It's people. No, it's teams
people
of
decided
people.
that we should be able to talk to millions of people, and humans can't cope with that.
Which isn't wrong. Which isn't... Dave, the only reason I know you, the only reason I'm running this podcast network for 10 years is social networks.
There are local optimums where things went well, but there's also just like, man, humans were not designed to talk to hundreds of thousands of people simultaneously. It just...
Well, which is why we don't do that. Which is social networks.
Well, it's kind of how. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, the inconsistent, weird rationale of these rules doesn't work. But I don't know. It feels like if you, I guess my gut feeling on the kind of code of conduct stuff is that it's a step in the right direction, right? From no enforcement of don't be a bell. What you want is a rule that says don't be a bellend, and it's enforced by a sort of rational human being who doesn't hate everyone.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
That's what you do want. You want someone to go, these beheadings, probably shouldn't have them there, but this is obviously...
But that's not being a bellend. We're talking about legally...
Okay.
No.
It doesn't, you just want someone who just, ensures that no laws are being broken and everything is just generally not shit. But that you can't write rules that way, I guess. But in trying to make some enforceable thing is a step in the right direction.
No, I'm saying, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
we probably won't get it right in Twitter or Twitter 2, but maybe one day, I don't know.
What I'm saying is concentrate on the stuff that matter. Concentrate on the beheadings. When somebody calls you a dickhead, a cunt, or says fuck off, ignore him. That is easy to do. The problem is not him, the problem is you. If you can't ignore that, and I've been there, I've fought with people on Twitter for a long time before I thought, why am I doing this? I'm being dumb. Just ignore the guy. You need people to train to ignore this insignificant bullshit. Some guy just shouting at them over the internet and concentrate on people fucking getting killed. There's wars going on. There's wars. I don't care if Linus says fuck you to somebody.
I just feel like...
Concentrate on the fucking guys who write code that kill people. Concentrate on the guys that are programming fucking drones to kill people.
That's ridiculous, man, because the military-industrial complex is behind that, and they run the place.
Yes,
so
and if we concentrated on solving those issues instead of concentrating on insignificant bullshit on social media, then we'd actually get somewhere. The problem is that people they can't decide what's important.
The powers that be don't want that, Fab.
Oh no, somebody called me a dickhead. Oh no, I'm gonna get angry.
No, that's ridiculous. No, because
grow the fuck up.
The people with the money don't want you to do that, so it won't happen.
The people with the money are not the problem. The people with the money aren't making these fucking code of conduct bullshit things.
The people with
guys
the money
without the money.
The people with the money are making the drones.
Yes, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about guys like you and me who go to work for the people with the money. They are the problem, not the people with the money, because they have the money.
I think we just turned Fab into a socialist. This is amazing.
No, I'm not a fucking socialist.
The people with the money are the problem.
We have to do this. Yes, the people with the money are the problem, but that doesn't mean I want socialism. Socialism is a fucking bad idea. Every time in the history, I'm gonna say this. I'm at this point now. Every time socialism was attempted in the history of humankind, okay, it wasn't often, but every time it turned into a fucking autocracy. It's not a good idea. It doesn't work. It's the exact problem is that the people, Karl Marx, alumni of my university, very intelligent guy, had no fucking clue about how people's brains work. That was his problem. If you think socialism is going to work, you don't understand how people work. It predicates that everybody is going to get along and do what's best for everybody else. That is not how humanity works. You can look at 8,000 years of human history and it will tell you that. And how fucking Karl Marx could have not seen that, I have no fucking clue. Now, Stalin knew that. And this is why everything turned to shit. He was like, oh, this is a great system for controlling people. Anyway, we should talk about something else.
Yeah, that was boring.
Have I mentioned Hitler yet?
There we go. Ding! 2-point hospital. That is a thing. The chord of changing topic.
You called it something 2-point shit or something in the...
I don't know. It's...
I got the feeling you don't like it that much anymore.
It's fine. It's just... It is the...
I fucking hate when you say that.
No, it's like... You know how people argue that, like, when you rate games, it should be a 5 is average. 2-point hospital is a 5. It's, like...
Have you read my blog post about the Fab score?
I did read it about the Fab score, and I think it's a futile endeavour. Because I think, at best, game scores can represent how a single person feels about the games they're currently thinking about at that moment.
Exactly, that's why it's called the Fab score. Then you get that.
Yeah, but like that's as good as it can get, right? Like it can't be more general than that. So yeah, it's just fine. Like, it's again.
Okay, is it? Would you say? Okay, not a fair comparison because the other game is really old. But like, if you capture the feeling of back in the day, having played Sim Hospital, right? Is it better or worse?
So like, it's literally exactly this. No, it's worse because it's the same thing again. It doesn't capture the feeling because there's no feeling of it being new. If you know what I mean.
It doesn't have a soul of its own.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a very dry rehash of an old thing. There's humour in there. It's kind of cute, but ultimately it is the same jokes again, but like 20 years later.
Oh, is it actually the same?
It's not exactly the same jokes, but it's the same kind of jokes. Like, there's a guy with a
but
light bulb
it's
head.
a different team, right? So
yeah, no, it's just like, it's just a rehash of.
So in their homage to it, were they just too close to the original?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it didn't feel like it's done anything tremendous. Like, I kind of feel the one thing it could have done that would have been more exciting would be to. It has these. I think I mentioned it, but it has the kind of competitive bits where you do stuff with against friends. So like, treat a certain number of people over the next certain number of in-game days. Like, I feel like those could have been the differentiator.
The thing, yeah.
Because basically the game mechanics are exactly the same as the previous game. Kind of, fundamentally it's still the same game. The only difference is like now you're connected to the internet and you know who all the friends are. So comparisons with friends or like interaction with other people, I don't want to like give them. That's what I feel like. I feel like they didn't add more things.
Yeah, but maybe that's so. I'm getting from that. Maybe that. I mean, we were just talking about like the score being of one person. Maybe it's just you. So, do you think if somebody was, say, younger than you and had never played the original, then they would like that? I think
if someone has come to this and had never played Theme Hospital or Sim Hospital, they would be like, "This is a cool idea. I've never thought of."
Theme Hospital. I don't know.
There was. I think
I never played that. That's my problem. Never really did.
So I think Theme Hospital.
Yeah, it's Theme Hospital. I just called it Sim Hospital because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, if someone's not played Theme Hospital, like they're going to enjoy it because like. Because they'll have not have seen the jokes. They'll have not have considered the city builder game, but in a hospital context, like it's a good fun thing. But like when I remember it so vividly, it doesn't capture because it retreads the ground so much. It doesn't capture the kind of my imagination as the first one did.
It's a post-millennial game.
Yeah, I guess. Or it just is it's just like for some people who missed it the first time round, this, like, obviously you should pick this one up rather than the original because it's not in 4x3. Like, yeah. Honestly, like, if this is like a kind of a genre of thing that'll happen where they just like remake a thing from 20 years ago so that current 20-year-olds can play it, that's fine. I'm totally behind that and I'll just skip it. Because
I want somebody to do that with Schleichfahrt, and I would play it again.
Oh yeah,
I just want the exact same game with better graphics.
Yeah, because I didn't play that, so I would love to play that because I can Schleichfahrt around and it'll be hilarious.
I would.
So that's the thing. I think you're totally right. That actually this would be a very good game for people who've not played Theme Hospital. But as someone who has, I think I've seen it all before, which is weirdly weird, like really weird from the next thing in the list.
Yes. Let's talk about the game that was good 20 years ago and is still good today.
Fucking fantastic. Yeah, that's the thing.
Can I just get into this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, I had played Magic the Gathering pretty much when it came out, like must have been 94, 95 till about 98. And so pretty much 20 years ago. Stopped playing it, had my cards lying around. At some point a few years ago I sold all my cards. Or I think I gave them away.
Yeah, you just sent them to someone on Twitter.
Podcast listener, I think to somebody in the US actually.
Yeah,
they were all just German cards and whatever. And I was done with Magic, right? So it's all your fault.
It is, yeah. This is exactly what happened with Warhammer back in like 2010. I just mentioned on Identica, you should do Warhammer, and then you boom.
Yeah, that was the same, except it was in the Discord. And so the thing you mentioned was, I knew that I had in passing a few years ago seen Magic Online. I just had no interest in collecting cards. I had seen Magic Online, and I didn't want to play. It looks shit.
So, tangent on a tangent, Magic Online has actually been around for absolutely ages. I think they're on version 5 now.
Yeah, and it looks that way as well.
It's called Modo. Like, it looked a lot worse, but it still looks terrible. And it is a full implementation of Magic the Gathering with all of the sets, and it's horrible. It's just horrible to use. It's very early 2000s design of everything.
And when Hearthstone came out, I really liked Hearthstone. Yeah. I liked the way it looked and played, and I just didn't like the game as much. I think it's not Magic. And when I was playing it,
exactly what I was going to say.
I didn't think about it in that thought, but since I have played Magic again, I think my problem with Hearthstone was that it wasn't Magic. It wasn't as deep, wasn't as good. So it's not lore-wise, it's not as good. The world, the art, everything's not as good. What they did is they completely nailed the user interaction. Now, what I realized in the Discord when you told me 2 weeks ago is that there's a new Magic game called Magic the Gathering Arena, also called MtGA, everybody just calls it, which is in beta now, it just came out. And basically, they completely ripped off Hearthstone, UI-wise. But it's Magic. It doesn't have all the cards. It's just like the recent sets, the ones that are standard legal, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do going forward, because it kind of feels like this wants to be the replacement to Modo. They're
just going to add all new cards. I mean,
easy
for them to do.
There are a lot of things there, and so there have been various sort of developer diaries and sort of like people who've left the development teams from Modo talking about how much of a pain it has been to support all of Magic. So I kind of wonder if they'll just do like a fresh start, saying, we'll start from now and go forward. And I think most people will be fine with that. I will be fine with that.
I will be fine with that. I mean, they're just going to go forward, and they're just going to add new cards, which is easy for them to do once they have the old UI. It's great. It plays like Hearthstone. It's great. So I played that, and it took me, I swear to God, it took me 3 days or 2, and I was on Amazon, and I was like, can you get Magic cards in Germany? You can buy boosters, you can buy everything, you can buy display things. And I actually kind of knew this because I had some friends that I met basically through a friend of Katie's at work, and they started playing Magic, and like a year ago or something.
Oh, they just started playing Magic.
They played before.
Glory days.
Like me, they're like my age.
They're returning
in the 90s. They're returning. But like me, they had bought a lot of English cards and stuff, and I just got into that. So I've got core set cards now. I've got Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan. I've got Magic cards over here. On the Warhammer table is currently full of Magic cards.
Nice.
Right? Wait, I have an app, so I can tell you exactly how many cards those are.
Of course, that's an app. This is like...
So I've got 653 cards.
Fucking hell.
which are currently worth 72 euros, it tells me. Anyway,
this is honestly such a flashback to like 2012.
So I got completely into this. I was like, so one of the reasons, like I was actually, so it's not completely your fault. So I was talking with these friends like a few weeks ago. We were throwing a party, and they were coming over, and they were in my man cave, and they looked at the Warhammer stuff, and we were just talking about it, and they were like, we start playing Magic, and Warhammer is too expensive, and we talked about prices, right? And when you come from Games Workshop, Magic, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's like comparably, it's like really cheap, right? So it's like, I can remember when I was a kid, like getting a booster was like, whoa, it's like, got a booster every 4 weeks or something, right? Or maybe every 2 months or something. I had to like scrunch up my pocket money to buy boosters. And now these guys are just like, just throw 100 euros, just buy a display. Open all the boosters, get the cards you want, sell the other ones, on the card market. And it's so good. And I've been playing MtGA. I've been building like real-time decks. I've been playing with them, IRL, with those friends. I've been playing. But the good thing is, we can meet and play, but like we're busy, right? So the great thing about MtGA is I can actually like learn and get back into the game just playing that online. And currently you can't play friends. It's just like random people.
Yes, that's my only problem, I think, with MTGA at the moment is that you can't add friends and just play games with them.
Yeah, but
right now it's basically only kind of like a ranked format.
Anyway, so I've been building a deck. I've been duplicating that in MtGA. I've been actually playing there to just like make my deck better and stuff. And I love it. I'd completely forgotten how good a game Magic is. It is such a good game.
So solid.
It's so good. And to be honest, I mean, we had talked about before. I mean, you were playing Netrunner, and we talked about how, that living card games that you can just buy them and you don't buy the boosters. But I've discovered that's actually a big part of it for me.
Okay.
It's just that's just like, even like in Hearthstone or like in MTGA, like if you play it digitally, like opening that pack, getting the cards, it's just. Yeah, that's a big part of it for me. It's like
I'm actually coming at it from like an entirely different perspective, really. So you're kind of enjoying the constructed format of it. Which
I always loved deck building.
Yeah, which is the kind of like thing I did a lot of at university and spent a lot of time doing. So if people don't know, there's like formats of Magic. So it's basically how you construct your deck, and there's constructed and limited.
So I only played back in the day. I only knew constructed, and then that was so early. I didn't think the other ones were.
So maybe the most fun thing of Magic is kitchen table Magic, where just anything goes and you can play whatever with friends. That's nice.
That's what we're playing.
Constructed means that you turn up with a deck that you've already built and you play people. There are numerous sort of sub things of that. There's standard, which is the most restrictive, which sort of just means like the previous year and a bit's worth of cards you're allowed to use.
Works. Is this like what's in MTGA currently?
Yeah, so
currently it's Dominaria, Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, and the core set, and Guilds of Ravnica, which is the new.
Yeah, which is cool. There's Modern, which is the same thing except like more time.
10 years.
There's Legacy, which is the same but even longer. And there's things like Commander or EDH, as it used to be called, which is my favourite way of constructed. You take 100 different cards, all of the same type as a legendary creature, and have fun times. And it takes like 4 hours to play because it's monumentally ridiculous. But there's also limited, which is kind of like what I think is the most fun, but it's also kind of the most annoying to sort of get done. You can't play it on your own, really. So limited is where...
Well, you can play that in MTGA now.
Well, yes, that's the thing. That's kind of like where MTGA is kind of like scratching the itch. Limited means that you get some boosters and you build things out of them. So there's this thing called Sealed, which I'm not a fan of. I've played a couple of Sealed things where you get given like 6 boosters and then just all the land you need, and you build a deck out of those 6 boosters, and you better hope you pulled some good things, which is kind of fun. I went to some pre-releases of things at university doing that, and that's good. But the thing I like the most, and I think it's the most satisfying for me, is limited, which is you basically take the current set. So right now it's just the Guilds of Ravnica block, and you get given 3 packs, and then you draft. So everyone opens a pack, they take a card out, and then you pass the pack to your left, and you get the one from your right, and then you pick a card from there, and just repeat until the end of the pack. Do the same thing with the second pack, except you're going the opposite direction, and then the same with the third, the opposite direction, and you build a deck out of that. And that kind of like takes the kind of... So the thing I don't like about Constructed is there's a lot of design space to break. So you can turn up with...
What are you doing while you're talking?
Ellie's in the background playing Guild Wars.
Hello.
She's frantically killing people. So
I just want to know what was going on. Good. Sorry.
Constructed is annoying because people turn up with like the most powerful thing, or they've found something that I never thought of, or just some like annoying thing that I can't do anything about in the moment, and like damn, they've got the thing that's the exact counter to my deck. I guess I've lost. But limited is like, it only matters for that session, where like, in that evening you're going to draft a thing and you're going to play, and then after that it doesn't matter because next time you play it's entirely different.
I do kind of like deck building, though. I mean,
whereas I'm not such a fan of it, right? The final thing is that the advantage of MtGA, it kind of removes the annoyance of having to go somewhere on a predetermined time and doing it, right? So the annoying thing will be like you'd have to go to Friday Night Magic to play it. Whereas now it's just like I just press the button and I do it, and it's great.
Well,
it's really
it's got several things. One thing I want to say, if you do like the deck building stuff, right? And a thing you could do is like take more than one deck. And then, I mean, okay, obviously there will always be like really annoying decks you can't do anything about. But like, if you're friends, right, you're like, okay, let's play another deck or something else. That isn't fun. And the thing with MtGA that improves that is that with the normal deck building, you're playing a ladder. So I've been losing a lot, so I'm at the very bottom. But I'm playing with people who are also at the very bottom. So, you don't have like that killer deck that beats everything. Because that guy will be very, very, very much higher than you in the ladder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of levels the playing field a bit just by matchmaking. And that seems to work quite good. I've been playing, I've been learning. And I've just been impressed with... Since I've just played it for a bit, like in the 90s, I had no idea, like I was young, right? But I had no idea how this game is actually built. I had no idea that they do like 3 sets every year. I've been doing that for 20 years and have released like, 2,000 cards or something. It's
like, what is it like? So there was an excellent thing at GDC in 2016.
So you watched Maro's video as well, I guess.
Yeah, 20 lessons after 20 years, and at that point there were like 15,000 cards.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, like there's a lot of reprints, right? So like things get reprinted a lot, but like there's a lot of things that just like happen and they just move on.
There's not that many reprints. What they seem to do is like
the good shit, the non-broken good shit.
What they do is they cycle mechanics. So they have mechanics that are in one set, and then they'll be gone for a few years, and then it'll be in another set.
Exactly.
And one thing I can really recommend. So the guy who is giving that talk, I'll put the link in the show notes. Mark Rosewater is the head designer of Magic. And he has a podcast, which I discovered. So I was playing Magic. It's like the thing I do is like, okay, I want to hear about this on my very long commute as well. I'm going to see if there's Magic podcast. And
so the best one is Limited Resources.
Well, I haven't listened to that one yet. I think currently, I think Mark's is the best. Mark's is great. So he has a podcast called Drive to Work, which he started years ago. There's like 500 episodes. And what he does is he pulls out of his driveway in the morning, and then he talks on his way to drive to Wizards. He talks about designing Magic, what he does in his day job. And it's always like 30 minutes long because that's how long it takes him to go to work. If it takes longer because there's a traffic jam, the podcast takes a bit longer. And that's a great podcast. The audio quality isn't so good because it's like recording it on a iPhone headset or whatever. But it's actually you can listen to it, and he's a great guy. He is very engaging, and the only downside the podcast has is that some things he just doesn't explain. I think it's targeted at people who've been playing Magic for years, and
it's
what kicker
podcast.
Yes,
there's a lot of assumed knowledge there.
But I've listened to like 40 episodes now, and you kind of assimilate. I've been just checking while listening. I'll be checking like the wiki, checking it's like a Magic the Gathering wiki at Gamepedia, and you just like check the terms and look what it does. And and he has really good insight into just how you learn a lot about how they make the game, and just like the amount of work that goes in that, the amount of creativity that goes in there. It's just great. It's a great podcast. I mean, if you at all interested in Magic, you should listen to that.
Yeah, I kind of can. I've kind of listened a little bit to it, but it's, I don't know. I'm not such a fan of it because it's a more broader thing. I used to listen to Limited Resources, which from the name suggests it's entirely about the limited format. There's a guy called Marshall Sutcliffe who does lots of commentary at the Pro Tour stuff. He runs it, and over the years he's had various hosts. My favourite one was a guy called Brian Wong back in like 2013 probably. But right now it's Louis Scott Vargas, who is one of the best players. He's like very famous. And they just, it's probably not super useful unless you want to actually play Limited, because it just talks about that. And it's very much assumes you know all the cards that are currently in Limited. So it's kind of super niche, but if you're in that niche, it is probably the most useful resource you will have.
Okay, well,
they talk strategy. They talk they do entire set reviews from the context of Limited. So they went through all of the Ravnica cards and were like, these are the things that are good. These things that are bad.
I'm actually not that interested in that. That's just like I like to play the game. I'm not gonna play like competitive. I know that. I'm just gonna play, and I might listen to that once in a while to just learn something. But I'm a lot more interested in how why the game's so good. And what they've learned over the years, and just like the behind the scenes. I'm just extremely interested in this kind of stuff, and like in game design, how they think about stuff, and how they come up with mechanics, how they cycle them, how they come up with flavor of stuff, and how the whole thing just goes together. It's just fascinating to me. And it explains why Magic is such a good game. It's
yes,
I think probably one of the best games ever made.
It's no coincidence that MtGA has come out when the Ravnica world has returned, because it is the most popular setting they've ever had, really. Because it's certainly the best times I had playing it was during those times.
I actually don't have any Ravnica cards yet, like in
they
MtGA,
are. It's really fun. So it kind of the whole theme about this is you take previously kind of decks are kind of monocolored, and then at some point in Invasion they had this mechanic where they were kind of encouraging you to take as many colors as possible, and they wanted to do that again but in a different way. So they picked 2 color pairings. And there are 5 colours, so with the 2 colour pairings that means there are 10 pairings, and they make just guilds for each of them and they give them a story. So Boros is white-red, and they're kind of super aggressive, and they're all about first strike and stuff like that, or blue, white is Azorius, and they're all about law and order and control, and that kind of feeds into the mechanics that the cards have. And just that kind of little thing was a really nice way of kind of being able to have a shorthand that's quickly learnable, so all of the guild colours, stuff like that is really nice, and they'll have a strong theme of the kind of the plot highly matches the mechanics of the cards. So example, Boros right now, they've got this thing called Mentor, which is when you attack and you have a card that has a Mentor, it can give a +1/+1 counter to another attacking card that has a lower power, and that's just more attack, more all the time. It's kind of cool, and I think that's just really, really cool, because I got into Magic the set before that in the Innistrad block, which was also really thematic but in a kind of different way. That was kind of the power wolf of Magic blocks. It was all about werewolves and zombies,
Mark
and vampires.
Like that.
It was super cool. So I think the fact that they've gone to these kind of my favourite time in Magic history is really, really nice. Later on after that they did Theros, I think, which was the Greek mythology one, and then after that they did the kind of tribes. There was 3 colour pairings essentially. They were fewer numbers but 3 colour pairings, and they all had names, but I never got into that because I'd kind of moved away at that point. I'd sort of didn't play at that point. So it's good. It's interesting to see. It's a very fun thing to see that it still exists, and because it's such a big thing, I guess there's different ways of consuming the product essentially, right? There's different ways of it. You're going with your like constructed standard / tabletop like kitchen table Magic, where I'm like, no, I'm going to play limited only because that's the bit I find fun, and it's big enough and there are enough people playing it that is entirely justifiable. Whereas I guess at this point things like Netrunner don't have the community nor the sort of large variance in playstyles to support that. Because right now, like Netrunner communities are essentially on life support. There's the kind of charity. There's this charity tournament that happens every year. It actually happens in Sheffield, which is super cool with the guy I used to play with. But that, as far as I know, is the last event that's occurring. And after that, it's basically just going to be dead. So it's kind of sad. But whereas Magic is 25 years old.
Yeah, over 25.
It was like 92, 93. And still kicking. Like, it is still popular. It is more popular than ever. Like, the tabletop guys played it. Day 9 got like super into it in like 2014. Like the Yogscast are all over it like this year. Like, it's just getting bigger and better.
They have their own IP, which is strong.
Yes. They also have the Netrunner IP, right? So they could
they have
resurrect
that
my favorite game
I think
if they wanted to. And
I think the second thing I was going to say is, like, not only they have their own IP, but also that whole booster pack buying thing is maybe just a good thing because people are just buying more cards.
Yeah, I guess.
Which supports the company.
Yeah, I kind of guess, but that's...
And if you got to believe that if Wizards read us Netrunner, they're just going to make,
Oh, they're totally just going to do that. If they just made a digital version of it, I'd be super happy. But, like, yeah, I think the kind of limited thing, when I kind of abstract the booster thing to just, like, there's a cost of entry, right? Like, you're going to have this experience, it's X number of games, and it's going to cost you this much. Or, like, it's going to take this much weird in-game currency.
But, look...
It's fine.
For us, it's fine. We work. We have
boosters.
Money now. We're not young,
But like, I just don't want to open boosters for the sake of opening them. I'd like the act of opening them to be part of the game, right?
Well, but you're doing that, right? That's what I'm saying. You're doing that. You're playing limited, so it works.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. But whereas I wouldn't want to just be opening them for the sake of it to build.
But we don't have to. So you're playing limited.
Yeah, no, that's.
But the fact that you're paying. You're paying Wizards basically every time you do that, like in real life as well. That's good. I mean, it's not that expensive. You have that money, and they get the money.
The living card game format is even more regular income in theory for them because it's basically a subscription. Like you say, every 2 months I give you X pounds and just carry on, and that is somehow not sustainable.
Well, I don't think it wasn't sustainable. I just think that when people... when the expansion comes out and people buy a display box, that's just more money.
Well, yeah, no, but that's the thing. It doesn't have to be more profitable. It just has to continue to exist, which various Fantasy Flight games just don't do.
But being more profitable helps,
That's
why Games Workshop
they made money, right? There would be no reason
to kill. That's why Games Workshop killed... the Warhammer Fantasy Battles. It's not like they didn't make any money of that. They were making money of that. They were probably
the reason
more than breaking even. But,
the reason Netrunner died is because Wizards got the license back. So, and the reason Conquest died was because Games
also
took
maybe
the license. I think the reason the games die is that the licenses get taken away from them.
I don't think. But if they had a lot of money, because they made a shitload of money, they could have said to Wizards, "Don't take the license. We give you X amount of money."
I guess.
That's a good thing about capitalism. Well, you have more money.
Games Workshop 1 was no one said anything, but the Games Workshop 1 was basically Fantasy Flight said they wouldn't make any miniatures war games, and Games Workshop were like, okay, you can have the license. And then Fantasy Flight went away and made some miniature war games, and Games Workshop were like, oh, well, no, we'll have it back now. You can't do it.
Yes, but then if Fantasy Flight would have gone, but we're sitting on this massive pile of money. Here's 50 million if we can keep the license. You think Games Workshop has said no? I mean, Games Workshop's the last company to say no to that.
What they've done is they've just released card games themselves. So there's like Horus Heresy and Age of Sigmar.
But they're not Magic. that's not that
that's
good.
the thing, though. They make money, so I guess it's fine. Another thing, it's annoying that things are gone, but yeah, I think Magic will outlive me, probably. It's such a massive thing. I can't imagine a world where that doesn't exist.
It's good. Like opening these little booster packs is good. I like that. As a kid, I discovered I still like that.
Good. Do you know what I don't like, Fab? It's Rise of Industry. I do not like that at all.
Why?
What
is it? What is it? I have no idea what it is.
Rise of Industry is a capitalism simulator, right? So it is cool. So you have a world, and it's really cute. It's really cute voxel art, and you build things. There are like resources on this big map. It's like this beautiful sort of like temperate climate, and there are cities that demand, bread, and you build farms, and you sell bread to them, and you make money.
Sounds like Civ.
Yeah, but it's really complicated, right? Because there's like so many different resources.
Is it a board game?
No, it's a PC game, and it's in early access. And I think that's probably my entire problem with it, is that it is not a game yet. There's a load of systems that connect to each other, like, watering crops and powering things and building like some transport networks to get your goods to market and making money. But the problem is that's it. I have described the entire game at this point.
It looks very old school, like very.
The problem 90s. Is, like, I feel there's no goal, right? So they just
it's voxel.
It's voxely, and it is just a sandbox, and the aim is just to make your like cash, the amount of money you have bigger, and that's kind of not interesting to me. I don't know. I feel like we're too
capitalist for you.
Not even that. It's just like it's just doing it for the sake of it, right? It's not like there's no mission. It doesn't give you a mission to say, okay, right, here's this weird scenario where there's like you don't have any oil. Good luck, have fun. Or it's just like here's a map, do some stuff and build things, and it's kind of really, really boring, which is a real shame because I looked at it and like this art style is amazing.
Yeah, it looks really good.
The user interface is really nicely designed, and all these systems like connect together.
I like
really
how
well.
it kind of looks like old school 90s game.
Oh yeah, no, it's someone looked at Transport Tycoon and made like a thing with resources attached to it, and it's really, really competent, right? It's really deep. There's like tech trees, you can research things, but there's no point. There's no reason to do it. That's really weird. And so where I said that 2 Point Hospital is like a 5, it's fine. This is just like actively just there's no point. Why would I?
But also, it's in early access, right? So,
well, that's the thing, yeah. So, like, I played enough of it, but not too much of it, and got a Steam refund because I just, if I read a review or watch a video where there's like a point to anything you do, if there's like a goal or a campaign or like multiplayer or some reason to be doing any of the things you're doing, I would do those things because they're kind of fun, but in a vacuum, they're really, really just kind of tedious, which is a shame because everything surrounding it is just like, entirely looks like I would love this game. Like, I have played board games that have very similar concepts to this, but the point of those was to beat my opponent. There was some point value to doing this. Like, for every, ton of coal you ship, you get a point. Nah, none of that. It's just like, make money and then spend that money to make more money and then just continue that cycle forever.
That's great, though.
That's the thing. That's why I bought it. It looked fantastic, and then I got a refund, and it was great because I got my money back.
Well, those poor people. They're trying to make a game, and you're just like.
I know. That's the thing. I'm just saying that people should probably just wait for it to come out. I think is the thing with it. They should probably just wait.
No, they're just gonna go broke because they don't get any money.
I don't think they will.
You pulled the money out.
There's like YouTube communities of people talking about how to build really efficient things, and that seems like really cool. But I'm just asking why? Why would you do this? What does this solve? It's the same kind of thing in my brain that it tickles as like something like Opus Magnum or Factorio or those things, except those games have well-defined goals. That's what I'm saying. There is no well-defined goal that I would like to...
Becoming rich is a well-defined goal.
It's not. It's really vague. It's just like, get more money. Okay, but how much money is more money? There's not even like a make $1 million. There's just like just
this
build.
is why you are not rich. Well, I'm not rich either, but think more like Donald Trump. You want more money. You got money, you want more money.
But in the context of the game,
You got a
why
golden
is that
toilet,
good, right?
you still want more money.
If having more money in the game just means I build more of exactly the same thing now, how is that experience different than literally right now?
Is this
There's
a
no
metaphysical question? I mean, this is like in real life. It's like saying, okay, I could buy everything, but how is that better?
Well, because
I
then
wanna
I'd
buy
have more
more
things. I could read more books. In real life, if I had loads of money, I could quit my job and I could read books and do things I enjoy a lot.
Right.
Whereas in this game, it's like, if I make loads of money in the game, all I'll be doing is exactly the same thing as I'm doing now, but bigger.
You will discover, I think, that if you ever got that IRL, it would be the same thing. You're now saying you would quit your job, but that wouldn't be it. You'd make money, and then you'd be like, I want to make more money. And then you would make more money, and then you buy a car and a house, and you think, oh, I want more cars and more houses. Do more money, make more money.
I don't think my reductive brain would do that. I think it'd be like, well, okay, now I can do all these other things. These fundamentally different things that I do now, whereas in this game I cannot.
I think a lot of people in the history of humanity have thought that. And then gotten rich.
But very
and then
few get to do it because capitalism.
Well, but if you look at those, it's like, did Bill Gates stop working at Microsoft when he got really rich? Yes. No, he didn't. He stopped
working at Microsoft.
He stopped working at Microsoft when he was bored, but he was being obscenely rich. Like, he could have stopped 2 decades earlier.
I mean, maybe, but was he still having some sort of
people
drive,
still
reason to do
people
it?
Yes, that's the thing. You don't lose you do different things, but you still do basically the same thing. Like Shuttleworth got rich of like selling like a certificate thing, right? And then what does he do? Does he sit on an island read books? No, he fights day in and day out with open source weirdos.
Does he even do? I don't know what he does these days.
Well, but he went to do that, and then there's other people that got really rich. They buy a yacht, but they don't spend much time on the yacht. They're doing like a charity, and then they're.
I think the people that do this just sort of disappear and enjoy themselves, and we never hear from them, right? Because they're just too busy living their lives.
I don't think there's.
And they're not on the internet.
There's a lot of people who do that. I think a lot of people that. Okay, there's other examples. There's people who get rich because their dads were rich, like Donald Trump's an example. But there's people who made their own, who made their own fortune, right? And they just keep going because they made their fortune because they have a drive and they will not lose that drive. Like, does The Rock have to shoot another movie? No, he's fucking rich.
I think he enjoys it though.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. If you enjoy something that much that you get rich off it, you don't stop doing it.
I guess if
I got rich of podcasting, I wouldn't stop
getting rich
podcasting.
off the thing you enjoy, right?
That's the hard part. Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Have I mentioned that I'm starting a Patreon soon?
If I got rich off a thing I didn't enjoy and got rich enough to stop doing it, I would obviously stop doing it, and that would be fundamentally different. Unlike Rise of Industry.
I promise you that if I get rich of this podcasting stuff, I won't stop podcasting. I might start podcasting from Fiji, but I will not stop podcasting.
Fair.
Anyway, let's talk about. We have this like shit game, good game thing going on here.
We do, yeah.
So
whereas I disagree on.
On Tomb Raider. Okay, so let's talk about Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Do you disagree on Tomb Raider? Don't you think?
I can see why you like it, and I can see that if you want a I hesitate to say linear, but
it's linear.
You want a story told to you. It is fantastic, but like right now, I do not want what it is giving you. So we've talked about it previously. It's the third Tomb Raider in the rebooted Tomb Raider world.
And disclaimer: I got this game from Square Enix. I did not buy it.
I did not, and I have played 2 hours of it. And I've just sort of stopped because it does not do what I enjoyed in the previous games. So So if you kind of like look at what I said about all the other ones, it's exactly the same. And the kind of decision-making bits and the bits where you run around doing cool things are really, really fun, right? When you decide, I'm going to go, like, get resources, do a tomb, like, go over here, do this. Really fun. Like, traversing the environment, really fun. Combat mechanics, really fun. Great. But it, at least in the bits I've played, is heavily forcing the linear story on me, and I don't care. I just do not give a shit. There was this segment where you played Lara Croft as like a young kid.
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
I absolutely fucking hated that because it was just like, oh, and now you're suddenly like really slow and you don't... None of those things in that bit mattered, right? I wanted to be farting around, getting better bows, getting guns, achieving things, raiding tombs, as the name suggests, but I had to do this thing where I sort of farted around Dad's house having a chat and stuff. I just didn't care. And then there was this section
you look
where
at what it like what it looked like, the
I don't
atmosphere.
Care. It could be voxel. There was no fun gamey bits. I was just sort of like running around not enjoying myself. And then there was the weird kind of like going through the kind of Day of the Dead bit.
Oh, that's so good. Like
it was a very impressive graphics preview, right? It was a cool benchmark for my graphics card.
No, not the. You know me, I don't care about the graphics that much. The atmosphere, the sound design, the fucking colors.
It was press forward and listen to some voice acting about a story I don't care about. Like, let me get back to doing things. Which is literally the entire inverse of what you wanted, right? You like everything. The things I described I don't like are the things you liked.
Yes, because I like story. You know.
I didn't like. It was just like, and she did a thing. The world's going to end. Grand.
And at the opposite to like, so it's basically doing the same as a Marvel movie, which is this is the action adventure, right?
Yep.
And it's about seeing and doing cool things. In a movie, okay, you're not doing them yourself, but here you're pressing forward, right? But aside, opposite a Marvel movie. I mean, they're both ridiculous, right? The plot doesn't make sense. You have to suspend your disbelief wherever you are. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's the Maya apocalypse, and you're stopping it, right? And there's evil dudes and whatever. But like the plot makes sense. You follow it along. It's cool. It's how you do that. It's not like fucking Doctor Strange. The stakes are clear. You know what you're doing. Lara is a great character. So. What I love about this, so I like the other two games. I like the jumping around, traversing environment stuff, but I play them for the story. I think the rebooted games have done an amazing job of turning a caricature of a video game character into an actual good character. A character I sympathize with. I hurt when she hurts. I feel the things she feels, and Lara's grown as a character over these games. Now, the thing I always missed a bit, I mean, the second game was better, but it's Tomb Raider. You're like in exotic locations, and that impinged on the character a bit because you're always on your own and you're always in duress and there's shit going on. Now, the second game had this stuff where she's in London, when that's in her flat and stuff like that. You see her in a more normal environment, which I really enjoyed. And this game, actually, this is the first time she's in crowds. She's talking to people. They actually, in that Day of the Dead thing, they do a joke, right? Where she says, I have to follow this guy, and she goes in this crowd, and she says to Jonas, like, I don't really do crowds, which is obviously a reference to the fact that the original Tomb Raider games and the other two didn't really have the other two reboot games didn't have the technology to have crowds.
Yeah,
and I just love the production value. I mean, I'm sitting there. They're coming to Mexico.
You love the spectacle of it, right?
Yeah, no, just the feel. Like they come to. So there's a scene where they come to this. They have a plane crash. They're in the jungle, and then you get to this Mexican village, and they get, There's a lady who's like, okay, they meet her, they talk to her, they sit down in a bar, and like she gets beer, right? Beer on the table, and I'm sitting there, I'm like sweating, It's like cold outside. It's autumn now, and I'm like sweating, and I want a beer because I feel like I'm in Mexico. They did amazing stuff. Like this game, really, the amount of detail work they put in this is amazing. You can actually have like a thing where you turn off, like where pretty much all the characters talk in their own language. Yeah. So you'll have them talk Spanish and it'll be subtitled. Later on, you're like in this Inca Maya village, and then they talk whatever language that is. And it adds to the whole like atmosphere. And I always thought I love about this game. I've always loved the voice acting. I think Camilla Luddington is doing an amazing job as Lara. She's really good, and it just gotten so much better in this game. So good. And then the other things that they really put in. So they have really granular difficulty settings now. So you can now individually tune the difficulty of like the jumpy bits, the combat, and what's the third thing? Oh god, I don't know. Basically, you can tune all the different difficulty settings. Like if you have the jumpy stuff is basically, you know how it has like this white paint,
yes,
where it shows you where you're supposed to jump. You can turn that all the way off, which is really I don't know how to play that game then. Like if you play it for the first time, that'd be really hard.
Yeah.
You can make you can have that on and then make the combat harder. And I think the puzzles is the third thing. So I'm shit at puzzles. So I have it set to very easy. So when you do like the survival instincts, then Lara basically tells you what you need to do. Like, oh, I should go over there and maybe I should pull this lever, which is exactly what I need. That's just amazing. And I've played it for 30 hours now. I'm nearly all the way through, and I've basically I've only done 2 challenge tombs. I think I'm just like running around. I'm just exploring it. I love, and you gotta imagine, I played this for 4 hours. I played it for an hour on the first press trip, and then I think 4 or 5 hours on the second one. So I played to most of the first half of the game like 3 times now.
Wow. And I got bored of it.
Oh my god, I've taken so many screenshots. Like the best thing is this has NVIDIA Ansel, which I loved when I seen it the first time, but it was never in any game. So you can, like, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can like do Alt F2, and you get like at any point in the game, you get like this screenshot manager, and you can have like depth of field, like fucking Instagram filters. You can move around, take screenshots.
Just like a whole load of things. I'm just like, yeah, it's fine.
For me, it's the best thing ever. You should see my screens. It does. You can do like high res screenshots. So they're like 16K or something.
Okay.
Like it re-renders it.
Sampling.
Yeah, something like that. It's just, it's so fucking good looking. It's so amazing. And then, so having said all that, it's a great game. The best thing this game has, and I've never seen this in any other game. You know how the game always had great menus? Now in this game, no matter where you are in the game, you can push escape, and you go to the pause menu. In the middle of a like cutscene, you know that thing when you're like, you're not in there for the story, but I'm really engaged in the story, and somebody comes in the room and wants to talk to me, I get like really mad. Shut the fuck up!
I think you could do that in Half-Life too.
Well,
because there were no cutscenes.
Could have been.
Pause anywhere.
Yeah, but like this is like, I mean, these are all in-engine cutscenes as well, but I've never seen that. It's probably in other games. I've just never. It's so fucking good. You're in the middle of a cutscene, somebody walks in, escape, pauses it, just fades out, pause menu, and then you can just continue on. That is so bloody great.
Unpausable cutscenes are the worst. So.
I mean, you can skip them as well, of course.
Yeah, also, I just skippable cutscenes.
Why would you? Because it's just...
Because the story's like, save the world, cool. Let me get back to doing the things.
It's an adventure story. So this game has been massively criticized, which I don't get. For this, like, oh my god, you go like you're like this hidden city like in Peru or something. It hasn't been discovered for like 800 years. And then you go in and you like trade for ammunition. And aside from the fact that they actually, if you actually would follow the story, you'd understand why that is, because there's actual specific story reason. Of course it's bullshit. But why do you care? This is fucking Tomb Raider. Like, do you really think the Mayans built like traps in their temple?
You've got to suspend disbelief, right?
Yeah, I mean it's Indiana
Tomb Raider, right?
Yeah, and Tomb Raider is basically Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Except the Nazis are like this Illuminati organization called Trinity.
Yes.
Like, and you're a woman, but like it's the same fucking thing. It's like that's, of course it's ridiculous, of course, but it's an adventure, and it's great. And like, if you're one of these people, like, oh, what's that test called? You know, the feminist game, like who the women talk about. I mean, that game, fucking play this game. The main character is a woman. All the other characters, except Jonah, he's the only guy. All the other characters are women. The bad guy's a guy, but like, you know, all the other characters are women. They're really engaging characters. And the guy, Jonah, is like the biggest pussy ever. I love that about this game. So in this game, you actually, he's a great guy, you know, lovable character, big dude from like New Zealand, really muscular, you know, big dude. And you're like, usually you don't meet him much, right? It's just like intersection points. So in this story, you actually walk around with him quite a lot. And then he has to follow you while you climb, right? And it's not like the Lara Croft climbing. It's just like along a ledge. And like he's like, oh, I'm so, he's like afraid, he's constantly afraid, right? Then it's like this point where he and Lara get separated, and Lara basically gets attacked by like leopards, and he's like on the other side going, oh my god, while Lara's actually fighting the fucking leopards. So good. I love it.
Oh no, you cut out.
What, I did cut out?
Yeah, you just cut out.
Kind of happened. Now I'm cursed as well. Anyway, I love this game. It looks
it is the most Tomb Raider game of the series, and I think that is the problem. That's the reason I don't like it, and the reason you like it, right? I think.
Yeah, maybe I think
really enjoyed the large sort of not open world, but you know, kind of like not sandbox, but the kind of large levels and stuff in the first one that they just sort of fairly quickly got you doing stuff in and exploring. And it was very much a Ubisoft kind of like go to the tower, unlock the map kind of loop. But I kind of enjoyed it.
Play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I think that they're kind of going away from that kind of design and more towards the linear thing that I'm a little bit less interested in, which means.
The funny thing is, I actually think what you're describing is more Tomb Raider. Like, if you look at the original games, that's what Tomb Raider was.
Yeah, I think it's more fighting around.
Yeah, I think the actually having a story is the departure from the original Tomb Raider game.
I think you're entirely right there. In that, it's the story being forced on me. Like, I'd quite happily have a story. It's just like I felt it was getting. It was getting forced on me when I was
watch a Marvel movie. It's like, oh my god, they're forcing the story on me.
Well, no, because I mean that's entirely a non-interactive medium where this is a game, and suddenly it's like, well, now we're going to take you out of the fun bit you were just enjoying to do this boring segment where you press forward for 10 minutes. Like, it's not boring.
There's stuff happening.
Like, there's the whole like thing where the flood happened, and you just sort of have to run along essentially a corridor and do QuickTime events, except they're not QuickTime events, but they're basically QuickTime events, like press spacebar at the right time, do the jump. And I was like, I don't care. I don't feel invested. I don't feel I can't make any choices at this point.
This is so great. So amazing how different we are. Me at this point, right? I'm like, oh my god, she's this earthquake and tornado. Oh my god, she's dying. We need to jump. Oh my god, what's that? Oh no, I don't want Lara to die.
Whereas I was like, yeah, press space.
And
okay,
when I was
press space.
Was always like,
press space.
Thank God that was over. Man, that was great.
And I was like, yes, I'm back to running around the jungle.
Oh god, the jungle bits are so good. Like
that's the thing. I really liked running around the jungle. It was beautiful. It's dense. It's like got this jungle feel.
But like the new combat where you smear yourself full of mud and then you're along this wall and you're just knifing people.
Yeah, really, really good. And like, why isn't that the entire game? Why can't you just let me just have at it?
Because people like me really like the story.
Yeah, I want how Mass Effect 3 had the story mode thing where it just made combat not happen. I want the opposite. I want the game mode
for me,
where I can just press F to skip game plot.
F. So for me, I actually feel like I don't go into movies. I don't go to the cinema anymore. And I actually, for me, this kind of way of delivering a story is much more better. It's better for me. It's
really, because it feels like a film.
Yes, but it's a film. But I'm engaged because in the middle I'm in control. I'm at points I'm in control.
Those are the only bits I'm engaged. In the middle.
Well, yeah, but like I'm. Even when I just press W, like to walk through the thing, I am like, it gives me the illusion that I'm in control. It puts me into the character. It gets me closer to the character. And at the end, a game, like if we're talking about the story part of it, right? A game and a movie is the same thing. It wants you to put yourself into the shoes of the character. Right, you need to identify yourself with the main character, and that's how they're telling you the story.
That is entirely not what I think, but yes, I can see why. No, that's not a game.
Well,
that's a film.
In the end, that's the goal, right? That's in the movie. It's the same thing.
The game is a series of interesting decisions, not I really felt.
No, that's a different. This. Okay, that's a Sid Meier quote, and.
It's entirely where I'm coming from. Is that?
But yes. But what I'm trying to tell you is this: I'm not saying you need to like this. Don't get me wrong. I'm completely okay with you having your opinion. I'm not trying to baptize on you. I'm just saying, I think there's space for both of us. I think the games.
And one is games and one is films.
No, I think games can have different goals, and I think you can combine them. And I feel like these kind of games are a step up from movies. They're a new kind of way of telling stories. I mean, Red Dead Redemption, getting back to that, it's the same thing. That's what Rockstar does. Rockstar marries movie stuff with game stuff. And I like the way that Tomb Raider is doing it. I mean, I can't say I haven't played Red Dead 2, so maybe they're doing the kind of thing as well. But I like the way where you have game bit and then little bit interactive thing in the cutscene game bit. I like that better than interactive cutscene interactive. Like GTA 5, for example. I like the way Squeenix is doing that better. Of course, it's a different kind of game. It's an open source game, an open world game. It's like it's a different way of they can control it better. But I like that experience. Like, I don't say you have to like it, but if you like that kind of thing, like me, then Shadow of the Tomb Raider is an incredibly polished way of delivering that from beginning to end, which I really like. I mean, if you look at what the game looks like, what that feels like if you compare that to something like, let's say, Red Dead Redemption, and you compare like their budgets and their development, the people who have worked on the game, I kind of feel like it's amazing what Square Enix did with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Because they're not pouring that, comparably that way. It's also a much smaller game. But I think why I respect it is because what they're trying to do, they're doing very well. It's okay if you don't like that, right? So you don't like that. That's good. I don't, okay. But I think they're not overreaching, right? Mm-hmm. I think this Tomb Raider series will be dead at the moment they say, well, we should do an open world game. This should be open world. And then it'll turn into fucking, what's it, Dragon Age Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
Where they had a similar game that was streamlined, that was, I mean, you had side branches, but basically a streamlined story experience, right? And then they said, "Oh, we should do an open world game." And then they realized, well, no, we don't have to resource it. It'll just be fetch quests, and the world won't matter, and it will not be good. So I really hope they.
I guess.
I love it to bits.
Well, yeah, I guess I could come to a kind of
But
consensus of like
it's
agreeing
not for
exactly.
You. That's great, yeah.
Agreeing exactly, but like ultimately having different.
You just have
opinions.
different. Yeah, you just have different.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like weirdly like the review of Doctor Strange. It's like an absolute mirror of number and opinion, like and time and wow, it's like the mirror world. Yeah, it is time for the feedback.
Feedback.
We have had some tweets which Fab has lovingly put in the show notes for me.
Yes.
He can tell when I log into the Twitter account.
Yeah, well, it kind of tells us like, oh, it's a new login.
Oh, from the sort of Birmingham area. I wonder who that was.
Danger. Will Robinson.
The first one is from Pseudo Says, who's Dave Umbrish. I always don't know how to say that. But he was replying to someone who was kind of working out whether they should do a podcast or a YouTube channel, and then sort of recommended us because we have fantastic show notes and we're great. So says,
I like that. That
if you go the podcast route, an option is to link any visual media you discuss in the show notes. One of my favourite podcasts is Geek News Radio, and they have fantastic show notes. That's because Fab spends ages on the show notes.
Yeah, it's one of my things. I'll try to make it good. We actually have the running order of the podcast now in Git.
it's
Because
kind of a brave new world.
I switched to GitLab for my freelancing stuff to organize everything, and actually. This is something. So we're gonna change. Char hates not doing Twitter, but Dave's not on Twitter anymore, and we have a new email address for feedback. And what I've set up is if people mail that, it gets. So actually, I'm not forwarding that to you anymore, Dave, because you got annoyed anyway with all the spam. But I'm not going to put this on the website, so you will only be able to send email if you listen to the show. We should get rid of some spammers, and then when you send us this, it will create an issue in GitLab. So and Dave can see that as well. In the issues, we'll get an issue created, and then
I've seen some podcasts doing a very similar thing where their comment sections are issues in, I think, GitLab or maybe GitHub.
Oh, that would be an idea. We could actually do that public as well. That's not a bad idea.
So it's God, my brain is screwed.
Oh God,
it's the Linux voice people. They've come back with a new podcast.
It's called
Bug Report.
Bug Report. Also, yeah, that fits actually.
And if you look on their it's this thing called utterances, and it's utterance. I don't know how to because I'm on the lap. Oh my god, utterances where it's .es. It's a Spanish thing, and basically you log in with your GitHub account.
Utterank.es.
Utterance, like saying a thing. You sign in with GitHub, and then you leave a comment, and then that comment gets posted somewhere. I think.
Why is it using GitHub? If it was using GitLab, we could just use that.
I think it's just because this plugin was designed to use GitHub. I mean, if it uses GitHub, right, it must be possible to use GitLab. It just might require some development, but so it's very similar. But yeah, the kind of the feedback thing is kind of cool. Will people get follow-up emails if we reply to the issue?
Oh, no. Currently not, no.
How did... if
I would just... I don't
reply on the podcast.
Well, we reply on the podcast, so I can send them an email. I can still send them. Actually, what I like that idea of doing that public. The problem is, the thing I'm using now for the thing you're seeing for the running order and everything, that is not a public...
Yes.
thing. But I guess I could set up a public 6-gun project.
And then make all of the issues,
and then do that. I'll think about that.
That's turning dangerously into a forum. What we need is just people to join the fucking Discord.
Well, but it's on GitLab, and it probably has a code of conduct, so we can kick people off it.
Discord. The Discord.
Yeah, join the Discord. Anyway, before we get to Discord, there was another tweet I was gonna mention.
Nannycore, which I think is fantastic. I think Nannycore lives in Japan because their location
looks like
is Japan.
It says,
and their handle is in characters I cannot read. They say, enjoying Sabaton's Swedish Empire live album on my commute out of Tokyo. Thanks to Fab and Geek News Radio for bringing them to my attention. That is the most Dave thing ever said. I would love to be commuting out of Tokyo listening to Sabaton.
And Sabaton is going strong. They've announced a lot of headlining for next year. They're headlining
Rock Am Ring,
Rock Am
Download, and I think Bloodstock in the UK.
Yeah, so you even in post-Brexit Britain, you will be.
Well, I mean, that is a bold claim that they're going to be able to cross the border, Fab. I'd come April. I don't think.
Come on, it's Sabaton, so what they'll just do is they
just drive the tanks. Across.
No, or they get shipped in as IKEA boxes
in flatback furniture.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the Joachim. He's the new sofa. There's only one of them. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we're bringing Sabaton to the masses. I recently found out a guy at Autodesk still listens to Sabaton, even though I've left, which is great.
That's good.
He's got like 3 or 4 songs that he really likes, and I'm like super pleased. I feel like, that's probably the most meaningful thing I did, was get people into Sabaton. Then we got some stuff on Discord.
Yeah, speaking of Discord and Sabaton, because this is Mike.
Yes, so for context, Mike got the magazine to get little Mike into Warhammer.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show, yeah.
Exactly, and then Mike says, sorry I missed the Sons Want More Warhammer meme, which was a meme that I think Nicholas or Grelbar made. Just got back from a long work trip to Lauban/Kuala Lumpur, but you're totally correct. I may have started something which could hurt my wallet even more. Current status is that my son is very keen to get his 100 points Blood Angels kill team fully assembled. So I have already tried the first issue of Conquest, and the Intercessors are now... What? My brain can't compute what that sentence means.
Conquest is the that thing, where you
buy
the
first issue of Conquest, and the Intercessors are
that magazine where you get stuff.
There is a comma missing, I feel. Try the first issue of Conquest, and the Intercessors are now part of his kill team. B decided that he can leave. He can have the Reavers that have been in my to-do pile, which means I will go for Conquest subscription, so I can replenish my hobby pile when he dips in / to give him stuff from the Space Marines. I've started reading... Also, I've started reading Lords of Silence by Chris Wright, and I have succumbed to the Death Bar, so Kill Team Army confirmed. Which is bonkers. That's totally... I mean, Mike's, just fully committed to carrying on, which is awesome.
Yep, now he just needs to get into Magic the Gathering.
He does. I honestly don't think it would take that much to get Mike into it, to be honest.
No, I don't think
because it's a really good thing. I think
it's a good game.
It's a gamer's game, right? If you like games, you like Magic. So, yeah, that's cool.
And Nicholas is keeping us on our toes with his script. We need to produce shows because he's saying we're entering awfully draughty times again.
So I'll...
Is that draughty or drafty? I can never...
I'd say droughty. But
droughty,
I don't think droughty is a word.
No, it is. I have a problem with drought and draft.
It's a word. A long period of abnormally low rainfall, especially one that adversely affects growing or living conditions.
Abnormally low GNR fall.
2.
And
prolonged dearth or shortage. So,
GNR shortage. Yes, and as I said, I am currently I have 2 jobs.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's fine because we're still not at 44 days since the last episode.
We're not, no. But
the script is great. So if people aren't keeping up with the deep lore, Nicholas on the Discord has a script which he runs on the feed every so often, and it produces a nice little table showing episodes and how many days since the previous episode it was released on. So episode 30 was released on the 20th of January in 2017, and that arrived 44 days after episode 29. Currently, we are at probably 23 days, I think, because the script was run on when it was 20 days. And that is not the most, so it's not the worst. Could be worse.
And I just logged in, and Podlove says still 14 days is the average interval until
that's all right. So we're fine then.
Although my my Excel spreadsheet's looking a bit.
Well, because the Podlove includes the other podcast, right?
No, because that's on a different site.
Well, that's fine then.
It's all good. We have to I don't know. Maybe I'll pay for GitLab and then I'll get the burn down charts, and then we'll just have issues and file issues.
Full agile.
And then we're doing CI.
Oh god, we're gonna have sprints.
We'll have test cases for the podcast.
No, please don't write user stories.
Yes. Oh, that's a good idea. We'll have sprints. Actually, Dan and me are having a sprint next week, so we're recording 2 episodes of Hollywood Outlaws back to back. So I guess that's a sprint.
Please don't make me assign story points to topics. I don't want to do this. I don't want to play story point poker.
What's story points?
So in the agile manifesto / methodology, so a sprint is like 4, you pick. Oh my god, agile, right. So a sprint is you take a block of work and decide you're going to do that in a sprint. So you'll pick a number of tasks and you'll put them in the sprint, and the sprint will last probably about 2 weeks. You'll start the sprint on the Monday, and then 2 weeks later on the Friday you'll finish, and hopefully all the work will be done. That's good. At the end of it, you'll have a review to make sure you've done all the things, and you'll have a retrospective to decide how you could work better. Cool. How you decide what you put on your sprint is determined via story points, which is a sort of abstraction of how long you think a task will take. So you say, I want to do this thing. I think it's really complicated.
Is this story as in Tomb Raider or story as in building?
So the idea is that tasks are actually called stories because it's agile. So it's it's an amount of difficulty you think a thing will have. So a really difficult thing might be 13 points. Something really easy might be 1 point.
This was invented by a guy who plays D&D in his free time.
This was invented by software nerds.
Who play D&D in their free time. Yeah,
exactly. So there's this kind of thing called story point poker, where you have physical cards, or there's apps and stuff. You have physical cards.
Can we get Magic the Gathering in there?
You could maybe do with that, with mana costs or something. Yeah. But you have cards with numbers which are kind of represent how difficult you think a task / story is to complete. And then simultaneously you all reveal how difficult you think their problem might be. So we might all reveal 7 and we go, yeah, that's great. This is a 7. We'll mark it down as a 7. Or you might reveal different numbers, and the aim is to have a discussion and then reach an agreement on how difficult you think it is. These numbers are important in inverted commas because you put them on you put a number of tasks on your sprints, and then over multiple sprints you'll start to work out how many story points you can achieve in a sprint. So you might just work out that on average in a sprint you complete 40 story points, which means that when you're planning the next sprint you can say, we've actually put 80 story points on this sprint. This suggests we won't finish it, and we'll feel bad at the end because we didn't finish things.
Or you have just estimated things wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea is
difficulty.
That you sort of, within the team, calibrate how difficult you think a task is. So we have, in the past, on the team I was on, we had archetypal tasks. So we had these 2, 3 or 4 historical tasks that we all knew how difficult it was to do. And we all knew, this task is a 3, this task is a 7, this task is a 13. So we were kind of judging everything relative to that. And we got pretty much on point, and you reach a sort of balance. It's entirely dependent on the team, and you can't really translate points between teams because it's meaningless. It's all sort of within the team. So we sort of worked out that we couldn't do more than 80 points in a sprint, and that if we'd put more than 80 points on, it was very, very likely that at the end of the sprint we'd still have tasks that weren't done. So why have I?
You know what? My takeaway from this is that these people are idiots, because why is it called a story point and not a mana cost? It should be a mana cost.
It should be a mana cost. So
it should be from 1 to 8 or 0 to 8. A mana cost.
The reason is they're called story points is because each task is a story, and a story is sort of framed in, rather than saying implement this feature, it should be, because that's focusing on like what you're building. What it should say is like, as a user or as a certain role, like a tester or a user or like a power user or some persona you have created, I would like to do X with Y. Like, I'd like to be able to log into the website and view my usage. And then the task would be created to be like, implement the usage page. But actually it would be called that because it's a user story and you're saying how many points that story is worth.
But it is dumb. It should be called mana costs.
It sort of makes sense.
And then you could, if you call it mana cost, then you could actually assign a color to each task.
Well, yes,
depending on if it's based on emotion or planning, or
this task is reducing technical debt. That's a good thing. It's a healing spell.
Is it about the graveyard? It
developers tap for mana. Depending on are they like a web developer, they might tap for black because that's like dark magic, that's evil. But whereas if you're a tester,
no, you could make your developers lands and then assign mana cost to a task, right? So the web devs, the web devs are like the black, right? And your testers are like blue. No, they're like white.
They're white.
And the designers are like blue or whatever. And then you could actually, you know how many lands you have of each role.
Mm-hmm. Right? Users are red because they're destructive. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can actually have the mana cost. This is great.
And then whoever makes the coffee is green.
Yeah. Because when he makes living things, makes things live.
Because they're casting giant growth on you or something. Like the canteen staff feel like feeding you bacon sandwiches.
I am down with coffee being green because I play green decks. I'm a green.
I really like
and a bit of black.
I liked. I'm currently liking Boros. That's white red.
Yeah, it was so. I was betting you're a white guy.
I really liked Gruul. Is it Gruul? The green red pairing back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I really liked those. They were kind of cool because they were kind of like aggressive, but you got to play some of the cool green spells that like buffed things nicely. Yeah, that's kind of where I like to play, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think they've changed standard, right? This is a thing. I think they've changed standard since I played because it's a bit different. What cards are legal now? I'm just confused. So. I don't know. It's weird, but
so I'm just checking what rule was. Red green, yeah.
I just wasn't sure what it's called because Gruul sounds stupid.
So I like black, green, and blue basically. So I like green,
Demir and
green and black. So that's Golgari, yeah, and green blue is green blue is Simic. Simic.
Simic.
So I was building a green blue deck. Currently, it's only green, but I'm planning to have a green blue.
I like the idea of blue spells, but they make my head hurt. In my head, Magic the Gathering is you play cards, you turn them sideways to attack, and you hope for the best.
Yeah, but I find that blue kind of supports green well because there's some stuff that green doesn't have.
Yeah,
and so I was building a deck where basically I was trying to put green is put big creatures on, on the table, and there's lots of blue stuff which helps with that. Basically draw more cards and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, that's a thing. Blue has lots of is drawing cards, which I have been finding in the drafts I've been doing that I just run out of cards so fast. Like low mana curves mean I just play everything out really quickly.
Yeah,
and if,
so
like,
that's my green
if,
thing.
if by like turn 6 I'm not in a very good position, I basically have to concede because I've run out of cards.
Yes. Well, my thing is I don't have enough cards in my hand. I have enough cards in my deck, but not in my hand.
That's the thing. I can't draw them, right? Like there's in stuff like Boros, there's very little card draw. The only thing you have is like the Boros Locket, which is super slow.
So that helps. Like, so there, blue helps green, and then also I always like green and black because you can, like, green doesn't have destroy things.
Yeah, whereas black
it just has creatures, but you can supplement that with like black spells, which just destroy shit that's in your way.
Like
because with green you have problems when you're facing creatures. You can't, like, when you play white, right? White has lots of stuff where it's like, oh, you can't attack this. I'm gonna take your creature and put it in like a cage, and then you need like destroy this enchantment, which green doesn't have. That was always my thing. Anyway,
yeah,
we should probably wrap this up.
We should rather than just talking about Magic for literally.
Maybe we'll just do a show where we just talk about Magic. Why not?
I have to play some more. I have to have more hot takes about
what's
good.
Do that. Buy some cards.
That's the like. I just don't want. That's
They
another thing.
They smell so good. You open the boosters.
You are right there. They do.
I was right back in my youth. I was like,
it's really weird how it just like takes you back.
I'm 14 years old again.
I'm 18 years old again. So feedback, you can make issues on our issue tracking thing.
Yes, so the new email address is feedback@sixgun.org.
You can tweet us both at Geek News Radio.
Yep.
The optimal way is to join Discord and have chats about stuff. Like just everything, really.
Discord.sixgun.org will get you.
Yeah, it's super good. And we would like to thank Bite Mark for hosting us.
Yeah.
Because they're fantastic.
This is what keeps this running, and we thank them a lot.
Be skillful. Be skillful.
We can still do this.